This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-winning, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Moin, hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu einer neuen Episode der Stanley-Parabel. Heute...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Heute möchte ich
This was
mal...
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace? Its subtle charm? No. Stanley knew it was something deeper, something darker.
Okay. Heute würde ich ganz gerne mal in den Raum zurück, wo dieses Telefon war, was wir das in der einen Folge ausgestöpselt haben.
Really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Ich wollte heute nämlich mal gucken, was passiert, wenn wir an das Telefon gehen. Das Klingelnde.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nö, tut er nicht. Der geht geradeaus weiter.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
So, hier auf die andere Seite rüber nämlich, ne? Und da ist auch noch ein Pfad, da können wir uns auf diesen Steg fallen lassen. Das werden wir aber nicht heute machen. Machen wir ein anderes Mal.
I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Jetzt bin ich ja mal richtig gespannt. Als wir das letzte Mal hier waren, haben wir das Telefon ausgestöpselt und dadurch das ganze Spiel kaputt gemacht. Heute werden wir mal gucken, um wen es tatsächlich geht.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Aber vorher speichere ich. So, weil ich nämlich gucken möchte, haben wir hier vielleicht auch wieder 2 Optionen. Wenn wir warten, passiert da noch irgendwas? Oder klingelt das jetzt einfach immer weiter, bis wir tatsächlich abheben? Haben kein Zeitlimit hier, was? Nachbar hört wieder Mit lauten Bässen Musik. Nee, ich glaube, hier passiert weiter nichts. Na gut. Mama, bist du's? Apartment Nummer 4.
Stanley, is that you?
27.
Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
Ich kann mich nicht bewegen.
Their life to you. I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Kann ich mich jetzt kann ich mich bewegen. Ich will ja nicht
Sorry,
rein.
but you're in my story now.
Boah, der ist ja richtig böse.
Na Schatz, ich bin zu Hause.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Was? Guten Morgen, Angestellter 427. Drücke U auf deiner Tastatur. U?
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Ich will nicht P drücken, ich drücke G. So. Oder H vielleicht auch noch von mir aus. Ich kann mich auch bücken. Aber das bringt uns irgendwie nicht weiter, ne? Na gut. P.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Hab ich nicht! Nein!
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Aber, bitte drücke E, um fernzusehen. Fernsehen ist scheiße. Guck lieber YouTube.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Bitte drücke 9, um Zeit mit den Kindern zu weißt du mehr als ich?
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Abendessen. Oh ja, Abendessen ist eine gute Idee. Das, da
As he
könnte ich mich
wandered
mal dran
through
machen.
this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby.
Ein was?
And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Um meinen Kindern eine Geschichte zu erzählen, aber warum nicht?
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over,
War das
wishing
vorher
beyond
auch schon
hope
so?
that it would never end, that he might always feel this free.
Verrostet meine ich?
Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Okay, mach ich einfach mal.
But there is no answer.
Ach,
How
das...
could there possibly be?
Ah.
In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets. The more he forgets which life is the real one.
Es gibt kein echtes Leben. Das echte Leben ist eine Lüge. Ich will Kuchen.
And I'm trying to tell him this. That in this world he can never be anything but an observer. That as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Ja. Okay. sitze hier und warte. Die Uhr läuft weiter fort. Ich sitze hier und warte. Ich will eine Rittersport. Was? Ja, das Problem ist nur, dass hier natürlich nichts weitergeht, bis ich diesen Knopf drücke. Und dann muss ich den Erzähler wieder enttäuschen und dann ist der stinksauer auf mich und dann macht er wieder die gelbe Linie auf dem Boden, die nirgendwo hinführt.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Bitte drücke 9, um nichts in Frage zu stellen. Aber natürlich! Macht nur Schere rein.
I suppose I can't. Not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And
Ich glaube, das war's. Ein weiteres Ende abgehakt. Ich habe nicht mitgezählt. Bis dann.